Hi, this is Anis from Never Stop Trucking. In this video, we will talk about trucking industry, the rates, and why the rates are so low. If this is the first time you're on this channel, we talk about trucking and dispatching and transportation topics. Even if you're not in trucking, some of these videos might be interesting to you, as you can connect them to other industries as well. So stick around and see what we have to offer. If you don't know, the trucking industry has been doing really bad in almost 2 years now. It's going to be 2 years in February of 2024, where we noticed that the prices of the loads, the load rates started dropping, and the fuel prices started increasing. The inflation started going up, the interest rates started going up, and all of these factors resulted in historically low prices for trucks, for trucking industry, for transportation in general. We refer to them as load prices. Usually, the loads are paid per mile, and that's how freight brokers and shippers determine the price of the load. For example, if a load is going from point A to point B, let's say Grand Rapids, Michigan to Dallas, Texas, it's a little more than 1,000 miles, but let's just round it up and say it's 1,000 miles from here to there. And if the rate is $2,000, then if we divide one by other, then we come up with a rate of $2 per mile. Now, 10 years ago, $2 per mile was an okay rate because the fuel prices were low, and the maintenance prices and insurance prices were also lower than now. So during those times, it made sense to have loads being paid $2 per mile. Nowadays, that doesn't make sense. And also, we do see loads paid even less than that. It's $1.50 for big trucks, for semi-trucks, for straight trucks, box trucks, or sprinter vans. They are even lower. All right. So that's a big concern for trucking companies. A lot of trucking companies are going out of business. We also have a freight brokerages going out of business for that matter. And it's all connected to low rates, to a lot of trucks being on the road, to inflation, fuel prices, wars across the world, and a lot of other factors. In this video, I will talk about why we have these low rates for trucking business right now. So it all started before the COVID. Everything was okay. Everyone was doing all right. I'm not going to say it was something to be crazy about, but it was just normal times. Then the COVID hit, the pandemic hit, everything was shut down, and shippers and the other manufacturers, they stopped shipping loads. They stopped producing due to many factors, workers had to stay at home. The industry was not very certain, like whether everything is going to pick up soon or whether it's going to pick up at all. Everyone was concerned that it's the end of the world. No one wanted to order anything, so everything was on hold, and no one was shipping. And we had around at least 3 months, maybe let's say 3 to 5 months of everything being on hold. All right. I remember I worked from home, and there were not that many loads out there. The rates were still somewhat okay. The fuel prices was okay. So we were doing fine, better than everyone thought. Okay. Everyone was thinking it's the end of the world and you're going to lose everything. Then government started giving out all this free money. It was in matter of PPP loans from SBA, and it was also in a form of idle loans. All right, so PPP loans they were forgivable. So if you could prove that you had payroll and that you had the workers or drivers under your payroll, they gave you all that free money. You didn't have to return it after 6 months or so or a year. You would have to prove that you used that money to pay your employees, and you just didn't have to return that money. There were a lot of companies, not just trucking companies, who took advantage of this. All right, there were a lot of companies who took these loans, and they were not even eligible for these loans because a lot of trucking companies have owner operators and maybe even company drivers that are on 1099, and these are considered self-employed, and these people were able to apply for those loans themselves because technically they were paying themselves under their own company and they were eligible. What these trucking companies did, they would say, hey, there is 100 drivers in my company, and therefore you're going to give me, I think it was 6 weeks worth of pay. I think that's what I remember. So these companies got a lot of money, a lot of free money, and they were not eligible for that money. Okay. And then on top of that, a lot of these companies got idle loans. Now, idle loans, you have to return them. You have 30 years to return them. The interest rates were around 3% or so. And even they had postponed these payments for these idle loans for a year or so. So they didn't even have to return them for at least a year or even more in some cases. So a lot of companies got hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe even millions. I know some companies that got millions of dollars in these idle loans. They have to be returnable, but you have 30 years to return them. So that's a long time. So these companies started getting this money. Then everyone else started getting money, even in your like your private matters, like you have a family and you and your wife and your kids, you were able to get a few $1,000s yourself. So everyone was started using this money and ordering stuff. They were doing a lot of construction. I remember I was walking through my street, and almost every house is fixing something. They're doing something. They're investing. So everyone is buying a lot of things. And then everything was on hold. They didn't have chips. They didn't have cars. They didn't have appliances, construction materials. Everyone wanted them, and you couldn't get it anywhere. All right. So then all of a sudden we have this high demand, and we have to make up for all that time lost for those 5 months. But now the demand is like 5 times bigger than it was. All right. So then it was crazy. It started, everything started going up. Then there were so many loads out there, and these loads were paying very well. They were paying great. And a lot of companies jumped into that, and they started moving this freight. But then there were other companies who were thinking, well, I should just expand because let's say I have 50 trucks, and I can easily move loads for another 20 or 30 or another 50 trucks. All right. So they started ordering more trucks, and they didn't ask how much this would cost them. They would just order trucks and trailers because they wanted to cover all that freight. And then we had other people who had no place to be in trucking. Imagine you don't know anything about trucking, about transportation, about brokerage, and you all of a sudden you're seeing your friends, your family members, or people on YouTube saying, hey, we're making all this great money in trucking, and everyone wanted to go into it. Everyone wanted their piece of cake, and people just jumped into it, got their new authorities. In those 2 years, there was a record number of new authorities for trucks and for brokerages. All right. And whether it's just a single driver that wanted to get their own authority and their own truck, or if it's someone that wanted to buy more trucks and hire drivers and get into the industry and make all that money. All right. So we had a combination of all of that, and then everyone started screaming driver shortage. It was big national news, and it still is. Everyone is saying, we need more drivers. All drivers are retiring. No one wants to drive. People are lazy. But the truth was that there were too many trucks out there, too many companies, too many trucks. We have enough drivers. We just have too many trucks and too many companies. And that's what it is. And then when that demand was satisfied, when people got what they wanted and everything started going back to normal, now what we have is overfilled warehouses. We have people that spent their money, the money that they got through the pandemic. People had to go back to work. And then we have the war in Ukraine. And then all of a sudden, fuel prices went up, and that's where it started. When the diesel prices started going up in February or March, almost 2 years ago, then the freight prices started going down because there was there was less demand for the products, and it just started slowly going down and down and down, and now it's still going down. It's still going down. And the fact that we have the inflation, the high inflation right now, and I bet it has something to do with all that money that was injected into the economy 2 years ago with these millions and maybe billions of dollars that was injected. I bet the inflation has something to do with that. I'm not an expert. That's just my thought. Then we have the high interest rates now. Because of all of that, people are buying less. People are buying less homes, less cars, less products, less food. They're not investing. They're holding on to their money. And, average, when you go out and see who's hiring, like 10 years ago, it used to be like $15 per hour, that like a normal job was paying. Now it's paying anywhere between $15 and $18, just like a regular job, where you don't need any experience, like entry-level job, you don't need a college. It's paying, and let's say it's $20 per hour times 40, that's $800 a week, minus the taxes, maybe like $650. And who's able to live off of that money? It's very tough, and people are just not buying. They're not buying, and that's why we have this situation right now where there are no loads. There are no loads, and therefore the brokers and the shippers can say, hey, it used to be that we had like 100 trucks out there and 100 loads, but now we have 10 loads and 100 trucks. We're just going to slash our prices in half, and someone will take those loads. And that's what they've been doing for past a year and a half. Now, usually when we have bad times like this, and I know that because I went through few of these crises myself, maybe 2 or 3 at least, all right? And that, if you make it until the end, everything will be okay. The prices are gonna go up, and you will make it out eventually. And a lot of people that have been in this industry for a while know that, and they're just sitting this out and waiting, spending their cash, spending their savings, not having any profit, maybe being in negative, but that's what it is. Now, keep in mind that all these companies, all of us, let's say, well, not, I'm just going to say a lot of companies, all right, made a lot of money during those times. When we have those great rates, a lot of companies made a lot of money, a lot of cash, and a lot of companies got this free money from the government, all right? Now, they can use that money for their operating costs, and they can cover those losses. But the question is, for how long? How long this crisis is going to last, and for how long are they going to be able to use that cash to cover that? So that's the biggest reason why all these companies are still in business. Usually in normal times, had it not been for that cash that they got, you would have seen a lot of companies go under. There are still a lot of trucking companies and freight brokerages that are falling, going bankrupt, closing down their doors, but not as many as everyone thought. And in my opinion, the biggest reason for that is because they are still having this cash that they're using. And once these companies go out of business, or they say, hey, this is not for me, I'm just, I'm tired of it, I'm throwing in the towel, and that's it. Until we see all those companies shutting down their doors, until we see companies reducing the number of trucks on the road, we're probably not going to see any better rates anytime soon, unless something drastic happens. Okay, so I just wanted to explain, in my opinion, why we have these bad rates in the spot markets right now. This is Ennis. Come back for more. If you like this video, like it on YouTube and subscribe to the channel, share it, and I'll see you guys around. Thanks for watching.